This is Tabitha Lord from Book Club Babble, and I am so excited today to feature Angelina Singer. She is a young adult author and also a friend of mine. We work together in several capacities for the Association of Rhode Island Authors, of which she's a board member, and on Inkit, which is a publishing platform where we write articles for the writer's blog. And so I have had the pleasure of reading her second to newest book, right?
Yes, exactly.
Called Forgetting What I Could Not Remember. Forgetting What I Couldn't Remember. And the second one in this series just released a couple of weeks ago, correct?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, and you can show that one. This is the new baby.
This is the new one.
That's the new baby, Forgiving What I Couldn't Change.
Yep.
And so I want to talk to Angelina about these books, about her previous published works, of her career, her education, all kinds of fun things. So we'll dig right in. So Angelina, tell us a little about yourself, your background, and how you decided to write that first novel.
Oh man, the first one, that's a story.
Yeah. Let's go way back.
This one, I wrote this in college. Well, my first 4 books were written in college, but this one, I didn't even set out to be an author. I didn't wake up and be like, oh, I'm going to be an author. I literally just had this massive crush on this stupid guy, guitarist, always a guitarist. I'm telling you.
Of course, the musicians, they do.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, most definitely. And so just this guy I met from band camp, and I don't think he knows he's in it, but I mean, like, I did bring him to my college formals, so like my friends knew, but like I swore them to secrecy. It was great. Anyway,
he probably knows now.
He's not gonna see this. He doesn't follow anything I do. It's fine.
Okay.
Anyway, so this is a love potion like story about a girl that has these bad antibiotics that basically make her fall in love with whoever like she last like thought of or whatever it is. So the idea is that, or no, it makes the guy fall in love with her. My bad. I know my own story. So anyway,
it's time ago you wrote that one. So
yeah, I was 19. I mean, I look a different person now. I don't even like the guy anymore. It's fine. So, so basically, she gets a sinus infection and she takes these antibiotics that like are engineered to like make any guy like fall in love with her. So the idea is like, how does she know what's real and what's not? Ooh, spooky, Yeah. So that's the premise of that one. And then I have my dystopian trilogy, which starts with The Sorting Room, kind of a riff on Divergent, Hunger Games, all that stuff. And then we have The Fall of Zephyr and The Rise of Onyx, which are both 2 sequels involved with that same concept of an upper world where souls are sorted into bodies and what happens when one of the light beings messes up and has to go to Earth to fix it. So it's a fun little theoretical concept. Thank you. My brain is a wild place, let me tell you.
It's a fun thing because we're going to be in a couple of weeks. We're going to be starting the Comic-Con tour, and you'll be at Rhode Island Comic-Con this year, right? Yeah. So because Angelina's stuff touches on the sci-fi fantasy realm, most of it has an element of that in it, and so the Comic-Cons are a fun place to meet meet your audience and your fans, and we just have a blast when we go do those kinds of things. Okay, so then you wrote that trilogy, and then is Forgetting the next one that you wrote after that? Or you have between? Yeah. So Forgetting What I Couldn't Remember, that's a bit more personal for you. And I've read in the things that you sent me that it was a difficult one to write because you were in a way exercising some of your own demons. So if you want to just talk a little bit about the premise behind these 2 books.
Yeah, totally. So this first one, Forgetting What I Couldn't Remember, in my life at this point, I mean, I'm 24. I was bullied as a kid, and that was something that, in a bunch of soul searching, you notice like, oh, there are patterns that you have in your brain that happen when you sustain a long term of suffering like that, especially in the social sphere. And I realized that I just didn't want to live like that anymore. I wanted to know my worth as a person, as a human being, as an artist. And I wanted to kind of, like you said, exercise that out in my life. So by writing these books, I got to go back in time and kind of like handle it the way I would have had I had the tools I have now back then. And of course, like you said to me previously, it's a little bit campy, a little bit exaggerated, but I have to say, like, it was so much fun. I mean, it gave me an opportunity to throw punches, literally, kind of be a different, like more badass version of myself.
Yeah.
The character does things that I wouldn't necessarily do, but a lot of it is me at the same time. Right. So this was something that I had to do. And when I wrote the time machine element, I wanted it to feel like she was almost like a very meta version of herself. She went back in time and she knows the things she knows when she's older, but she still has the struggles that she had as a kid. And she goes back to her younger self and tells her what to do. And that kind of has a ripple effect through her life when she gets back, and it kind of just goes through this whole like warp speed kind of thing. And I structured it kind of back and forth, so you see the younger version of her with the time travel, and you see the present, and you kind of see that pattern. And so I hope readers get that. I've had a couple people complain about that, but I loved writing it that way.
Yeah,
So
I think it made sense to do it that way,
yeah,
for sure, because that and then it goes all to the present, right? When there's no more jumping back and forth, and it kind of seamlessly goes into the
I
present.
think of it like a Y shape. It kind of goes like right in and then goes forward. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a fun story to read. And so you wrote the sequel, and
Yes.
that's your newest release. That's the brand new baby.
Yeah, the new baby is right here. This is the sequel, very colorful. I had my cousin Michelle actually do the cover. Funny story about the first cover. I actually reached out to the younger sister of a guy in one of my favorite bands, Water Parks. Gracie Knight, Austin Knight's little sister, did this cover for me, and yeah, she got us into some modeling gigs and didn't have time, I guess. So I reached out to my cousin, and we did this one. And
it's beautiful. Also, it's colorful, and it fits. It fits with the, yeah. So you continued Vera's journey, I assume, in the second book. I haven't had a chance to read that yet. And so, what new adventure? Give us just like a soundbite of the new adventure without any spoilers. What's the the inciting incident or the main theme of the second one?
So I won't tell you anything that's not on the cover, but I can tell you everything that's on here since it's on Amazon anyway. So basically, her dad is stuck in a virtual reality world in book 1. And book 2, she gets stuck in the virtual reality world.
Oh, fun.
So yeah, exactly. So the shift in focus goes from like the bullying, and now it's more about making peace with the fact that the past happened and you have to move past it. And that is more of a relevant representation of where I am now, where it's like,
sure.
I know this stuff happened to me. It's difficult. I resent that it affected my personality in negative ways, but I now have the opportunity to go in and edit that because I have the foresight to say, this is me or this isn't me, and I can then fix it and be the best version of myself. So this process of her doing that kind of in real time of like the video game and all this stuff, it's kind of a metaphor for the fact that sometimes life feels like it's programmed. Like it feels like you're in this like trapped kind of situation and you can't get out and it affects you, but there's always a way out. It just takes a lot of sacrifice sometimes. So that's a little nod to something I won't talk about.
Love it. I love it. It sounds great.
Thank you.
So, you write to the young adult audience, obviously, that with your theme and with your, so do you have any, I would say not aspirations, because some people like young adult writing, even if when you're not a young adult anymore, is still, it's such powerful writing. Why do you love writing in that age range? And do you ever see yourself either writing middle grade or writing, full on adult stuff in the future?
Absolutely. Great question. I read somewhere in psychology, I don't think it was a class, maybe it was, Instagram has psychology stuff that I follow, little tidbits of things. And one of them said that when there's trauma in your life, you kind of get like mentally stuck in that place. And I think part of what I've been through is that my brain is very much still stuck in that young adult, like growing up phase, even though I'm 24. So like,
I still consider that young adult, just FYI, being an old adult who just had a very big old birthday.
Oh, don't say that. But I mean, in my mind, I think of young adult as more geared from like 13 to 19 or 18. So like, I don't know. That's just my perception of it. But I will say that my newest book kind of toes the line in new adult. There are, more adult themes. I mean, there's that in the first book too, but
absolutely. But the tone is a bit, it has an innocence about it.
It dips into the more adult side of that in the second book, but it's still like roughly the same kind of idea tonally. But yeah, it's something that I've just loved young adult books. I love that feeling of like not knowing what's going to happen and just all the new like uncertainty and emotional like development that happens so rapidly, because I feel like in adult books, at least the few that I've read, in school or what have you, you lose that sense of wonder a little bit. Adult books don't have that spark, that sparkle. I mean, you can have it in different ways, but it's not the same kind of ingenuity that you have when you haven't lived a lot of life yet. Right. And I very much feel like I'm still in that place. I mean, you said too, you consider that young adult still, and I feel that way too. So I think I just resonate better with young adult books. So I read and write them like 9 times out of 10. I don't love the whole like, oh, divorcee, like, you know, like I don't relate to that. I've never been married. I'm not even close to being married. Like, no, like, no. So I mean, yeah.
I think it's so fun that you are just, you know, producing content and putting it out there. And the indie, you know, being an indie author, you can really take control of your whole destiny and your writing destiny. So can you talk a little bit about that and your you know, your experience with all the different parts and how complicated yet satisfying yet frustrating, you know, I mean, we've been there. Any of us that have published anything independently get it, but it's fun to kind of hear someone's journey a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I have learned, you mentioned that I work with you as part of ARIA on the board and just networking with all the lovely folks in the club and all that. And I think I've learned so much from my colleagues. I mean, I didn't know any of this. I used to be in a couple Facebook groups, but those are kind of, aside from the ARIA group on Facebook, other groups I've been in are just, they get kind of stodgy, kind of egotistic. Everybody's like, you could have Googled that. And I'm like, no crap, Sherlock, but I wanted human opinions, but you know, fine, whatever. So I kind of ditched all that. I definitely revert to all my friends in the association instead, because they're just good people and they know stuff. Like everybody's so talented, and like it's honestly such a blessing. And I mean, yeah, it is overwhelming. My head spins like 24/7. But I've noticed that the author journey from a marketing and, you know, publicity perspective, it's really just doing what you can and doing it well. You know, you don't have to do like all the things under the sun, because we all have lives and families or friends, in my case, friends, and I'm trying to, you know, get full-time employment and all this stuff on top of it. So I don't have time to be like blogging 24/7 or marketing, you know, Facebook ads and whatever else. But what I can do is what I do have and I do really well is Instagram. I'm always on there. I've dipped my toe into TikTok, although I don't use it probably as much as I should, just because that content is so hard to think up, you know. But yeah, I've done the audiobook thing. I've done like the blogging. I'm building a website right now. I actually just hired a website designer. Very excited about it. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, she's fantastic. She's a girl my cousin goes to Concordia University with in Canada. So she's been freaking-tastic. I'm so pleased with her work. It's been great. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And, all right. So she went, where did you go to school and what did you study? I actually know the answer, but I want you to say it.
Of course. Yeah, you're good. I went to Stonehill College in Easton. I studied English, creative writing, and music. Because my like dream occupation is to be like a music journalist and do like you know, pop culture
working
stuff.
for Rolling Stone magazine.
Oh gosh, yeah. Because I mean, you know this, but I'm also a trained musician too. So I've been playing guitar for 13 years, and I actually want to teach guitar on the side. So my dream is to like write articles all day, teach guitar all night. Like that's my plan.
Play in a band? Do you want to do that too?
Not
really.
It's just bands are drama, and I don't have the time for that. Like
I understand.
It's drama, and I don't like. I'm not a performer so much as just somebody who likes to study. Like I'll totally play open mic night sometimes whenever that comes back into play after this past year. But other than that, yeah, I'm just not. Bands are like you're all in or you're all out. There's no like middle ground, and I can't invest that.
I get it.
Yeah,
so what are you working on now? What's your next concept? What's your next big story?
Oh man, I do have one. I haven't written it yet, but see, I'm kind of interesting because some people like to outline everything. I outline it all in my head. Like I know exactly what I'm going to do, but none of it leaves my brain until I type it. And the reason for that is because I like it to marinate. I like it to sit there, kind of no pressure. As soon as I write it down, I think I limit myself because my brain kind of grabs onto whatever's tangible, and then I lose like the spark. So I like to just leave it in my brain, let it percolate a little bit. But I'll tell you what the plan is. The plan is it's gonna be a fake dating romance, and it's gonna involve my distaste for the prep school culture and how much I hated that whole thing.
Excellent. All right. And is there going to be any element of time travel or magic potions or fantasy, or is it going to be straight up contemporary or new adult romance?
I think it's gonna be straight up contemporary, towing the line once again to new adult kind of, because the characters will be like ending high school but also just past high school, so it's that like gray area. And I am gonna try to get agent representation for that. This one, I think it's so marketable it's gonna have a rock star element to it, because you have to.
Everybody's favorite element, the rock
Right?
star. I've written a rock star one too. Yeah.
I don't think anybody loves it more than me.
I bet not. And
oh gosh,
it'll be perfect for you. Yeah, you'll love
yeah.
that.
So I mean, I'm definitely be picking your brain. I know we've talked a little bit about networking with agents and just kind of getting the word out. So I'll definitely be wanting any and all advice and help with that when the time comes.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think it's fabulous though that you just, you started in school, you started writing. I mean, by the time you're my age, you will have such a backlist and you'll have such a wealth of content that you will have. And there's a piece of me that's a tiny bit jealous that I was like, I should have started writing when I knew I wanted to be a writer way back in the day. But we're all on our own path. But I admire that. I admire that you at 19 put together the construct of a novel at start to finish, filled it, and did it. That in and of itself is an accomplishment. A lot of people say, I want to write a book. I have this great idea. Well, an idea is nothing until you can put it down on paper and see it through and then understand, oh, that's only half the battle. Then you got to go back and edit it. And that can be really daunting when somebody picks it apart and says it would be better if and it resonates, it's true. So, you have to go back and do the work. And it's like, so I just give you a lot of credit for doing that at such a young age and being willing to put it out there. Because that's a bit humbling, right? When you first put your work out there and a little bit, you feel a bit vulnerable, I would imagine. I certainly did. Even all these years later, I still kind of, when you get that first review or whatever,
Yeah, oh, for sure. But I mean, I laugh at myself because I feel like at 19, at least for me, I was just swimming in hormones. I don't know what happened at 19. I was a mess, like genuinely just like mentally, physically, like all over the place. So I think that's why it happened. I just went kind of low-key crazy enough and I wrote a book because I was just losing my mind over this guy. And I'm like, I look at him now and I'm like, why? Like,
what's the big deal? I
know,
right?
What's the big deal? Like, it's just a guy. Like, I don't care if he has a cool tattoo and long hair. It's just a guy. Just a guy. I know. And so I love that I had the opportunity to grow. I feel like, in so many ways, I thank him for pissing me off enough to write a book. Because, I mean, I found, Aria, I found my wonderful family of writers, and I found a skill that's going to serve me my entire life, and all because of stupid guy. Like, put that, like Taylor Swift, take that, right? I call myself the Taylor Swift of novels because I mean, like, that's not the first time I've written about real people, obviously, with this book. I mean, I'll tell you, the character of Alex is loosely based off my childhood friend, but I say loosely because I've never been attracted to him, like not even a little. But the dynamic of having that close friend who like has your back, that was very real.
Right. That was a nice relationship. And I like that it kind of stayed in that realm, kind of showing that it can, that you can have deep, meaningful friendships.
Well, book 2.
Oh no. So that blows that out of the water, right? But that's okay too. I mean, whatever. Like,
you gotta bring it somewhere for the sequel. You gotta add a little sizzle.
Gotta add a little spice.
You gotta add a little bit. Come on.
Of course. Well, I can't wait to read that one. And I think, again, I give you a ton of credit for for doing that when you're so young and putting it out there. And it was all because of a stupid boy. But really, what you taught yourself was you could do this thing. You proved to yourself at 19, I can write a book. And then you proved I can write another one. I can write 4 more, 5 more, and that's an amazing thing. So
thank you.
I wish you well in your next endeavor. It's not like I'm not going to see you, but for all those people out there, we wish Angelina the best, and we'll feature her again, I'm sure, over the coming years. And good luck.
Thank you so much, Tabitha. I really appreciate Book Babble and for having the opportunity to get on here. This is so fun.
Happy to have you. So thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.